The fifth GOP debate just a few hours away. The stakes keep getting higher for the candidates with just 7 weeks to go before Iowa. And the poll positions have changed a bit this time around. A new Washington Post ABC News survey has Donald Trump still on top, but Ted Cruz is now at number 2. Rubio and Carson are tied in third. Trump is once again feeling confident going into tonight's face-off.
There's so many people, and many of them don't have a chance. You say, what are you doing? Just go home and relax. Go home and relax. The other candidates should be thankful because I'm giving them a chance to make total fools of themselves in front of millions of people. So we're watching television before we're hearing all these announcers saying, well, who's going to take on Trump tonight? Who's going to hit him hardest? And I'm saying to myself, yeah, I would say bring him on. Who cares? What difference does it make? But I would say it won't be this will not be like an evening in paradise for me. Do we agree?
Do we agree? So will it be Trump versus everyone tonight? His rivals are giving a preview.
Now is the time for candidates to begin to show that, in fact, they understand how difficult and complex these challenges are and have real proposals to address them. I don't think he's met that test, and others perhaps have not as well. But look, this is what these campaigns are about. He's not electable. He's not a serious candidate, doesn't have serious views, and as such would be eaten alive by Hillary Clinton. This guy is, when national security becomes an issue, Hillary Clinton is very vulnerable, and he takes away that advantage that we have.
Okay, so there's some previews of what to expect kind of tonight, kind of the thought process and pattern of who's going to go after who, and let's see how the table calls it. All right, Bolling, who does Trump go after tonight?
Nobody.
No one.
Trump sits back, and I think he's right. I doubt he's going to have a lot of attacks coming at him. I think they're going to, the ones who aren't the top three, Trump, Rubio, and Cruz, will go after probably Rubio and Cruz. They're going to try and see if they can get, there's about 30% between the two of them. They may want some of that. Everyone else is polling in the single digits. I mean, some of them are polling 2, 3, and 5%, most of them. So they're going to go after maybe that. It's proven no one has proven it effective to go after Donald Trump on a debate stage. It hasn't worked for anyone. So I would expect the other two would get a lot of heat. Meanwhile, Donald Trump probably, last couple of times he sat back. Rubio has had 3 great debates in a row, 3 great. So you look for him to do well again. The things he does well with these stages. And Ted Cruz had a very good one last time, so he'll probably try to build on it.
And Christie had a good debate, and he's now back on the main stage.
Somewhere over in the sides and the corners over there. He's got to make his presence known.
So, but if anybody decides to take Trump on, then, you know, we know what he's going to do, counterpuncher. But Dana, how do you see it tonight? Who needs to do what?
Well, I think you got to lock down the reason for your candidacy, right? So you have to make sure that people, that now that they're starting to pay attention, right? We're getting in the 7-week time frame, so people are getting ready to go for the holidays, and this is kind of like the last gasp for politics before people go for Christmas and New Year. But I think that's important because imagine you're going to be gathered with friends and family, and politics is obviously going to come up, and you're going to want to know, like, so who does Uncle Bob support, or Aunt Kathy, whoever it might be. So I think that having a strong debate, no matter who you are, is good. I also think that all of these campaigns, including in the undercard debate, they must have some sort of reason internally for them to believe that they have a chance at least somewhere in those early states. The national polls, yeah, they're terrible for everybody but Donald Trump and maybe a little bit for Cruz and Rubio. But pretty much the national polls show Trump way, way, way out ahead. But if you're somebody like Santorum or Huckabee and you know that Iowa could be the place where you are able to have a foothold, I think maybe you figure out a way to just kind of keep it going. I don't see them dropping out after this, even though they're in the undercard debate again at 6 p.m.
Okay. Greg.
I'm really looking forward to the debate. It's a shame that it's not being televised. You can't find it anywhere. It's all going to be oral legend, so I wouldn't bother looking for it on any other cable network. Just keep it on Fox News, and we will let you know what we hear. You know,
what a team player. Nicely
thank you very
done.
much.
All right.
You bring up the most important point. Why are you there? And I will talk about this later, but it's about the events, why this election is important. We saw today that you could paralyze a country with threats of terrorism. But right now, the left still sees terror as a sideshow. That Obama can barely contain his not disgust, but I guess his cynicism for legitimate concerns. So you can't trust them. You have to trust the Republican Party to take the mantle as the only party that can handle national security. That is your reason for being there. So I think the person that states that most persuasively and clearly will probably win the debate.
That's interesting. Prediction?
Yes, that's my prediction.
No, for the winner.
No, it's just a shame. No one will be able to see it on TV, though.
I know. Oral legend.
Yes, it's all transmitted by oral legend.
Until midnight when I'm on live with Megyn Kelly.
Exactly.
Anybody else? Yeah, Juan, where are you going to be?
Well, I'll watch. I mean, the problem with this is it's all about Trump. All these debates to me have been about Donald Trump. He is so entertaining. That piece of tape that you played at the top, Kimberly, I mean, it's unbelievable. Is he real, or is that someone playing Donald Trump? But it's Donald Trump, and he's saying, you know, the rest of you guys just go home. I mean, you know, why bother? But when it comes to the attack and counterattack that we were talking about, and you were saying he's a great counterpuncher without a doubt in a class by himself, so he's been in trouble this week for going after Cruz. Right? So you're not supposed to say anything about Cruz. You're not a real conservative, right? And then Cruz and Rubio have been going after each other. And I think that could be the main event tonight. I think those two battling out for the evangelical vote, the strong conservative vote, really is what is the key element going towards January 1 and the start of what I think is the real contest. This is kind of, you know, the preliminaries, if you will. This is the last debate of the year for the Republicans, I think the 5th overall that's been held. And what we see is that with terrorism rising as a concern among Republicans, and I say that very pointedly, because Greg, I think this is something that the candidates put out there to stir the Republican base. Guess what? Republicans are now concerned. Let me finish. So Republicans are now concerned principally with terrorism as their concern.
I think the terrorists put it out there.
No,
I don't.
Actually, Juan, you're half right. Republicans are concerned about terror, but so are Democrats now.
Not to the extent of the Republicans.
That's true, but Pew came out today and said, in the brand new study, for the first time since 9/11, Americans, all Americans, feel the government has their job rating on terror has gone negative, 52 negative, 46% positive. Very importantly, though, all through this, though, both sides being polled, Obama and terror has a 37% approval rating, 57% disapproval rating. That's both sides inclusive.
Right. So I think
so
what's
it's not
dominating.
just Republicans.
Look, everybody's watching these debates, by the way. These debates are getting bigger audiences than in the last 2 cycles, right? So, but let me finish.
Let me finish. Terror on Republicans.
Let me finish. If I could finish, I'd finish the point. So I think right now part of why these debates are capturing not young people but older people and Republicans is the terror angle. And they are fascinated by it, and the media keeps feeding people this kind of, you know, watch out for those terrorists.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. The media has said nothing about climate change.
Not
gun
much.
violence.
In fact, I didn't hear, has any Republican congratulated anybody on the climate deal?
I think everybody does.
I love how they're so offended that they didn't get congratulated.
I think the climate deal was great.
And by the way, the Fox News demo ratings of the debates were very good, so I beg to differ. 25 to 54 does care, at least when we're doing the debate. Now, Trump has been going after Ted Cruz since his surge in the polls, but Rush Limbaugh thinks that is a very bad idea.
My questioning here about the way Trump has gone after Cruz here, calling him a maniac, refusing to work with people in the Senate, that's a huge mistake for any of you who are holding out hope that Trump is a genuine conservative. Genuine conservative, even in the Republican field, would not go after Cruz this way. So I just raised red flag for me. Made me somewhat curious.
And itchy. Meaning, that didn't sit too well with him. Does that surprise you, Juan? We'll take it around.
You know, I was a little curious because I was thinking, now, what's Rush talking about? Why is it that you can't attack Cruz in this way if you're Donald Trump? And I guess that he's saying you shouldn't mention it or something. I wasn't clear. What did you think, Eric? I don't know.
I understand what Rush is saying here. If you have Trump was polling 38% and Cruz at 15%, you're 53% of the vote right there between the two of them. Why would you do that? Why not just let it sit? But as Donald Trump said from the very beginning, if you take a shot at me, I'm going to hit you back harder. Remember, I will win that. And so maybe he's just showing the rest of the field.
Oh, you mean so it's a tactical thing, not a substance thing?
What, you mean Donald Trump?
No, what Rush is saying.
Not to attack. Look, I think anyone who questions what Donald Trump has done or is doing has been proven wrong for 3 months now.
All right, Dana, what do you think?
Well, I do find it curious that Cruz is the only one that gets the protection of Rush Limbaugh if you're a conservative. I mean, Trump has had no problem trashing all sorts of conservatives, or people who would self-describe as a conservative. And I think maybe one of the things is that they're starting to worry, like, oh, maybe Trump isn't as solid conservative as we thought. We've been, talking about him for 6 months, and he's getting up there, and now they kind of like, oh, wait, well, maybe we like Cruz. I didn't understand it. I think it's been unfair to a lot of people, including most of the people that are on that stage for several months.
You know what's interesting, and to tag back to something else we were talking about earlier, is the Rubio-Cruz fighting, tearing at each other. I actually think benefits Jeb Bush and maybe even Christie, because they're kind of like waiting, hanging out, waiting to pick up some points, and Jeb raced well on national security.
I don't see that evangelicals would go to Christie or Bush, do you think?
Let's see. Depends on what the ultimate choices are. Hillary Clinton?
In this Rush versus Trump thing, they're actually both correct. Rush is signaling something to the conservative base that if Trump does this to what he calls a genuine conservative, that's the phrase that he uses. What's to come in a Trump presidency? And actually, Rush has been right on this. Trump changes his mind a lot. He's not ideological, and principles often get tossed if he finds that they don't work to his benefit. That's what he does. And he's also, look, he's for ethanol, he's for eminent domain. Rush has said it before. He's not a conservative. Trump, however, is right. By hitting Cruz, he tests the reaction of the base. He's basically saying, if you're okay with me insulting these people, what if I go after you? And what you saw all the talk radio giants going after Trump for this. So suddenly he crossed the line after making fun of a POW and making fun of a woman's face and making fun of a disabled guy. But now you've crossed the line. I say good for Trump. I salute him for doing this, for going after Cruz and saying, you know what? No one is immune from the Trump.
Okay, wow, that was interesting. Okay.
What do you mean? I'm saying, you understand what I'm talking about.
But that's pretty much been the case for the last 3 or 4 months since he declared. I mean, you're right. He hasn't gone after Ted Cruz, but he's warned him. He said to Cruz, don't go after me. You won't want this.
I think it's more, I guess it wasn't, I was commenting more on the people who have remained silent. Who have remained silent when a guy who was a POW, I mean, who denied his own exit because he felt it was wrong, was still called names, still kind of gets me.
Yeah. But when you said like the Trump, I was thinking like The Rock. No one is immune from the Trump. That's what I thought you were.
But if your litmus test for grace is that person on your team, is that right?
Well, that's why Trump went after Cruz. He said this guy doesn't work well with the Congress. Right. And he said he's not going to get anything done. And then Limbaugh comes back and says, oh, you're not a real conservative wouldn't go after someone who's challenging the conservative.
But Trump is right on that.
Right.
Yeah, Trump.
And well, that's what I think.
Let's see who was right at this table tomorrow when we review all of this.